you can't handle the heat.
We are Shell. Welcome back to an episode of Can't Handle the Heat. It's your host Gage here and Joe here, but we are not alone. We're in Lincoln, Nebraska with Coach Danny of University of Nebraska. Thanks for hopping on, Coach.
Sure.
First off, how's it being? Are you originally from Lincoln? I know you went to school here.
Yes. Well, not really Lincoln, about 30 miles south of Lincoln. So played sports though and grocery shopped in Lincoln. So basically from Lincoln. Yes.
And then how long have you been officially with the team?
Since February. So we had beach volleyball for a month and a half. Then we started indoor after spring break. So I don't even know how many months that is. It's gone fast, but since February.
And what's your involvement in the beach volleyball team now?
Right now, this year was just moral support, which actually worked out great because, I was pregnant and getting used to everything and just moving. There was a lot of outside stressors, so it was amazing just to have Jalen and Kelly and Brennan just handle beach where I could just come and watch and get to know the team, and I didn't have to worry about writing practice plans and training them. So it worked out perfectly.
And then how do you, for the beach program, do you say like, hey, everyone go do beach? Or is it like choice? Do you say, hey?
Pretty much everybody does it. And I wouldn't say it's required, but you'd kind of feel left out if you weren't doing it because you'd just be training on your own. So we did have one player who was coming back from injury who wasn't on the beach team. So she did extra workouts and then she did a little bit of indoor training. But we want everybody to be involved because we go on a couple cool trips. So we'd like everybody to go on those trips. Yeah, Hawaii's not bad.
We always see the TikToks. As soon as Nebraska and Hawaii, you know it because it's already out there.
That's where we went to school.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we always, we appreciate always going to Hawaii once a year.
Nice.
Nobody can miss that trip. So I'm sure it's the same there. No, for me, I think it's really cool because there's a lot of programs that don't tap into the beach side. And we grew up in California. Like California, a huge thing is like you play beach volleyball. Do people call it sand volleyball here?
Well, we do because there's technically not a beach.
Everybody says sand volleyball. I'm like, what is sand volleyball? It's beach volleyball. Beach volleyball. So is there a reason why a lot of other programs maybe don't, get involved? Even programs that probably could afford to do it don't have that beach off season?
I just think it's a lot of extra time and, you really, the value time spent, like we don't do any indoor training until after spring break. So that's a lot, coming from Louisville where we were in 8 hours and I felt like was really productive in January and February. It's different. So you're losing that time training beach. So you got to kind of think of the right athletes and understand the crossover benefits, but I don't think it's all positive. I think there's some things you got to consider before you jump right into it.
Yeah. It's I don't know what people think of it here, but it's definitely like a Brazilian style where it's like off season. All the Brazilian teams, they always beach in the preseason, off season. Even their indoor teams, it's like they're using indoor balls and they're doing all their beach training, and then they like can't speak more highly of it. So that's how I kind of viewed it is with Nebraska because we've known Jalen for a long time and he's always like, we use it more so just kind of off season training.
Yeah, it started when I was an assistant coach here. It was the first year, so I helped that year. And then, so I saw it both ways, like all ways, as an assistant, as the head coach, at a school that didn't have it, and I was the head coach here.
Was it John's idea? Like, was he like the one leading the charge on that?
Well, yeah, because he grew up in California, so he loves beach volleyball, and he played a lot of beach volleyball.
And he just, like, Jalen was always kind of the head. He was just kind of there to, like, hang out. Yeah, travel to Hawaii.
Yep.
Travel to LA. Yeah.
Yep.
No, it makes sense.
Now, since you started your coaching career, how many times have you moved?
Well, I moved to Tennessee, to Louisville, to Nebraska, and back to Louisville and back to Nebraska. So, 5 or 6.
Obviously, Chris Hames.
Yes.
Like, very well. Yeah. We were just with them for about a week, actually. And they speak very highly of you. And
I was there, like, painting the walls in their first facility. So,
it's crazy.
They were just getting that club started when I was an assistant.
No, it's so cool to see where they're. Have you been in the new facility over at K2?
I haven't. Nope, I haven't been back there for volleyball reasons in a long time.
Yeah.
But it's funny because my husband was like entering names into UA and helping paint and load the printer and do all like the grunt work back in the day.
And they've come a long way. So
Yes,
oh my gosh.
for sure.
And did you like living in Knoxville?
Yeah, Knoxville is a great city.
Yeah, we always thought big man over here loves Knoxville. We still play overseas and stuff, so he's always like, when we come back, maybe we'll settle down.
Well, it's a nice, a lot of water there which
That's
is
true.
great.
The boats and everything. But we're like Cali guys, Hawaii guys. I like waves. So when I think of water, I'm like, all right, let's go ride waves. Let's go. You know, obviously not the same. It's more water sports, but it's really really awesome there. Well, the big news, obviously, new head coach in Nebraska here. How long you been? Well, not how long. How you been enjoying the ride of coming back to Nebraska?
Oh, it's been great. Obviously, the people are great. Everybody's excited about volleyball. The team has been phenomenal. It's made the transition really easy and smooth, and really don't have anything negative to say. Like most people would assume that it's all been good. So happy to be back. Family is here. You know, having a second kid and being able to have my parents and my husband's parents close by has been game changer.
And what was that process like? Like in terms of series of events, you were at Louisville head coach, and then offered the job, and then end up here. What was the timeline of everything happening?
You know, it was pretty quick. You know, I think John decided very quickly that he was going to be done or wanted to retire. Like I think it always was in the back of his head, but he didn't even know when he was going to do it. So once he knew for sure, it was just a matter of a few days. You know, and I do think just me being a major part of the program as a player, as a coach, I mean, I spent almost a decade here before this year. So I think that made it really comfortable to move quickly.
Was there something you brought up, like obviously you've been part of the program in many different ways. Was there something like, as a player when you were there that you were like, okay, if I was the coach or if I was in charge here, it'd be a little bit different. You've already kind of made those adjustments, or
yeah, I don't think as a player, because I didn't really understand a lot of things as a player. And it's funny when you become a coach, you look back and you're like, oh, that's why my coach did that, or I get what they were talking about now. But I'd say as an assistant, well, one of the biggest things would be just to play more 6-on-6, and so we started playing a little quicker. And I'm pretty big on like quality of reps, not quantity. So just making sure we're being really mindful in the gym. So, you know, practices are shorter, but a little bit quicker paced. I think that's the biggest thing.
yeah.
From a training standpoint, that would be different.
And for you, you prefer to work more offensive or defensive type of
Man,
stuff?
I like them both a lot. I love coaching the setters, so I definitely focus on offense, but as a coach. But as a player, like my best position was libero, and so I also love to coach liberos, and I'm really defensive minded. But I just think there's something about the head coach setter relationship that is really good, especially when adversity hits. And so I want to have that super tight bond with the setters in big matches.
Yeah. For you, like, what is your general? I'm a setter. Like what is your general approach to, I guess, working with setters? Like, I guess what I'm saying is, like, are you somebody who's going to be extremely involved in, like, decision making? Are you good, like, technical aspect? Like, what is that kind of?
A lot of technique, you know, definitely the training aspect, and then watching film and breaking that down. But I think the decision making and game planning part is what, you know, creates that bond. And the setters that I've coached, especially for multiple years, by the end or their senior year, the last year I'm with them, it just feels like we don't even have to spend that much time game planning because we're already on the same page. But I do think it takes practice and a lot of reps, quote unquote, to get there. So a lot of watching film, and I think it changes too, obviously, with the team you have.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, it's so interesting because obviously every setter plays for so many different styles of coaches. And for what do you think is going to be really important, I guess, with the setters that you have on there? Because a lot of people have been talking about both Campbell, Bergen. Like, what do you think is going to be really important for the development of this team specifically? Because you have two really good options. It's like, okay, there's two different skill sets too there in both players. Like, how do you manage, I guess, the setters?
I think this understanding that they're like a unit. They're not in competition against each other. Well, I mean, they are, but just not having that mentality, having the mentality of them being like one, because I think they're very different, and they're probably both going to be used in different ways. And you know, if I can have clear communication with them and they can have a lot of trust in me, then they'll understand why we might be making changes or doing different things throughout the year. But I think it could be really fun for both of them. It might not be a traditional you're starting every single match and never coming out type setter. It might be. I don't know. But it could be really fun to be able to game plan and use them both strategically and as long as they're on board and they understand.
Yeah.
I had a question about how you recruit certain positions. I think I can use setter for example.
Let me go one thing and then you. No, I just wanted to, because for me, I always like it's a difficult situation as a coach. Like you have two. It's good. Every coach will say, yeah, it's a good situation to have, good like problem to have. But also at the same time, like, and this is why in some moments, like you hear people say all the time, I don't want to be a coach in this situation, because it's like it's important to both like give the reins almost to one like from a leadership perspective, but also like not make like a decision where like this doesn't make any sense. You're just doing that, but also the other setter's just playing way better. Yeah. So how do you like that's the difficult thing. For you, what is like the balance of that, I guess, as a head coach, and how do you go about managing like that in terms of like you're kind of the leader, you're taking the reins of our offense, and but also we have kind of almost like a little bit, because it is a competition in a way.
Yeah.
Like anybody's in competitive sports knows it's a competition for sure. A sense.
Yeah, I can't really say I'm going to do it one way this year. You know, I just think this is the tightest it's been in my head coaching career. You know, last year at Louisville we had 2 great setters and we ran a 6-2, but that had more to do with the team and the opposites than the actual setters, and they were a little bit different than Bergen and Campbell. So I don't know exactly how I'm going to do it, but I just know it's going to take a lot of communication, and then I think stats and practice are going to be important, and winning and losing, you know, and not just numbers, but wins and losses, and who's making the team click.
Yeah. No, that matters. For me, that's the setter's job. Like, people ask, how do you judge a setter? I'm like, at the end of the day, it's like, do they win? It's the quarterback.
Yeah.
He's like, you win or you lost.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter how it looks all the time.
It's like, I know a lot of average setters that win a lot. And I know a lot of really good setters that don't win a lot.
Yeah.
And it's like exactly that.
What's amazing about Bergen and Campbell is they're both great leaders in different ways. I think they have very high volleyball IQ and high leadership qualities, which is a good thing to have. Yeah.
No, Bergen worked to camp for us last night. And to be honest, I was surprised personality-wise, because when you watch her, it's very like, she looks very quiet, but she definitely has like a good sense of humor, personality.
For sure.
Tell it connects well. So that was cool.
I'm just curious, at a school like Nebraska, what is your recruiting game plan in terms of positions? And obviously you got to think about what team you have, the eligibility, how many years they have left. But is it like does I follow the socials? I see top recruit in this class, top recruit in this class, top recruit in this class. Is it okay, we're going to get the best country, we're going to get the best kids in the country and then put them in a pool and have them battle it out year in year out? We're going to keep bringing the best in? Or is it okay? Or is it anything different from that?
I mean, I think you're always striving to get the best players in the country every year, and you need multiple players in each position to battle, and you want great competition every day in your gym, but you also want to protect your team, and like if there's an injury, you want to be able to stay at the highest level you possibly can be at. So, you know, of course, we want to space some positions out, but you know, we're always going to try to get the best pin in the country, and most years we're going to try to get the best middle. You know, I like having 4 middles, or at least 3, and maybe a middle that could play right side, or again, it is getting the best players, but you don't want to have so many. Like, I don't want more than 16 or 17 on our roster. So I know the cap's 18. I think 16 or 15 is even the perfect number. There'll be years there'll be some overlap a little bit, but you don't need to be overloaded. But you need to have I think you have to have at least 1 or 2 great backups in each spot.
Right. And you mean coaching at the top programs in the nation for a while. Is it harder nowadays when you're dealing with such blue chip athletes, and now maybe they're not used to not playing as much? Is it harder to now keep them in the transfer portal, or what is that like?
Yeah, I definitely think it's harder to keep them, and you see it all over the country that players are transferring because they want to play, and you can't blame them. I mean, I wanted to play, and there's a lot of outside factors in that too when you're not on the court. There's money involved, and so you can't blame somebody. But I do think if you can have a great plan and stick with that plan, and then also, again, communicating that, it should help with some retention. But I think it's silly to think that you're never going to lose anybody.
Guys, don't worry. We're going to get right back to the action here with Coach. But before we do, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors. Shout out to All Volleyball for supplying us with all the camp shirts and coaches' shirts for this entire summer. Without them, we would not be looking as sleek, and the campers would not be looking as sleek as they do. Another shout out to Victory Insoles. I ain't got bunnies. Joe's got knee problems. Thank the Victory Insoles. We're feeling a whole lot better as the summer's going along, when usually we're not feeling that great, honestly. Usually my vertical goes down. Usually his knee gets worse. But quite the opposite's been happening, so shout out to Victory Insoles. Also, with these long, strenuous tour days, starting anywhere from 8 a.m. and ending anywhere at 9 p.m., we need to stay naturally electrolyted. It's very, very, very easy to get tired. It's very, very, very easy to get dehydrated. And without Dr. Price electrolytes, without chugging those, guess what? We wouldn't be here. I literally would not be sitting here if it wasn't for them. We've been giving them out to the kids, and they have been loving them. They come to the door, we give them a packet, they're chugging it, and they're feeling great. They're doing 3 sessions in a row with us, and without that, neither of us would be standing by that 3rd session. And whenever we're working with the kids and whenever we're playing games, we always use Mikasa. Mikasa's been our partner this summer, and we cannot be more stoked. We've been playing with them now for about 4 or 5 years consistently, and I can honestly say it is my favorite ball for a reason. It is the best company for balls, without a doubt. You know where I'm going with this last one. Slunks. Slunk-achinos. I'm in this podcast, guess what I'm wearing? The Slunk-achinos. I mean, it's as simple as that. I'm only wearing slunks ever. Like, ever. I'm only in slunks. I'm in slunk. Look at this. Slunk-achinos. Boom. That's all you need to know. Let's get back to this podcast. With NIL kind of coming into play, like you said, there's money on the line here. What you see a lot of the old ways in terms of coaching, in terms of running a program differently. What do you think are the keys to, in this new wave of NCAA athletics, staying on top as a coach, or what you've seen work for a lot of coaches?
With the NIL? Yeah. This year it's all new ball game, and I think that's going to continue to change. And I don't think you can really sell that yet because nobody really knows where that's going. Is that what you were asking?
Yeah, well, I was just curious, like, you see a lot of coaches, maybe they don't have the funds or something like that, but they obviously know that, this is the way we keep a player, or this is the way.
Yeah.
Because we travel around, we always ask the coaches, what way? They're like, this person does this really, really well, and this person does this really well. Mm-hmm. So just curious if you saw, like, any, like, repeating factors within coaches that you see, they're adapting in new ways really, really well. Mm-hmm. And that was curious if you saw anything.
With the NIL?
Yeah.
Not really yet. We'll see. I feel like that's evolving so much. And here is like crazy. In Nebraska, the volleyball players are celebrities, and so I feel like the opportunities are endless. It's just who really wants to dive into those, and then how much time do you have to dive into that without it taking away from your team? There's a balancing act here as well.
Got you. And then in terms, one of the biggest questions we get at like camps is from athletes. Obviously, if you're the top of the top, coaches will find you. But there's a lot of really good girls volleyball players out there, and there's a lot of players out there, so it's sometimes hard to get recognized. Camps. Mm-hmm. Should parents spend the money to send their kids to camps a lot of the time?
I think so, especially when they're young. I mean, I actually have a great example of a friend here who has a daughter and, who's pretty good at volleyball. And I'm like, you should pick like 2 camps and go to. She's 13, so not really recruitable, but start the process when you're young. Now, I feel like when you're before June 15th, you really need, and you're a junior, going to be junior, you really need to figure out what schools are close to offering you, or what's this camp mean for that program. But I think when you're younger, 100%, like 13, 14, 15, you should go to camps. And that's where I feel like club coaches need to do a great job of like helping them decide what level, like pick maybe a top 5 school, top 25, and maybe a top 100, or maybe an academic school, and start figuring out what you like and what level you belong.
Right. Yeah, I think it's tough nowadays with obviously maybe parents want to drive a kid to here, but the kid's maybe not feeling it too. So I think it's really important also for the kid to realize what they want. And like, so let's say someone reaches out to you, what's the best way? And as a coach, what do you have the most respect for? Do you have an athlete sending you something, a parent sending you something, recruiting service sending you something? What's the best way for them to get in touch with you, or for you to?
An athlete or parent. I think those are better than a recruiting service. Just they're more personal, and they're a little more serious about your school when you're getting it directly from the athlete or the parent, depending on the age. A junior maybe not, but a 13-year-old, of course, the parent was totally acceptable.
No, I was gonna ask you, like, because we hear about like parents doing wild things sometimes, and we're like, for you, what's the line of like, all right, this is like where the line is for parents who are, even for girls who are on the team too. It's like, okay, at what point is the line for parents in your view in the involvement in the athletes' lives?
Well, playing time I think should always be discussed player to coach, and because parents aren't there in the practices. Even I think at the younger level, you might be watching from a distance, but you're not in there seeing the interactions. But if it's anything involving them outside of playing time, I think it's fine to contact a coach.
Yeah. It's parents in sports are crazy, especially in the U.S. because now we live like most of our year over in Europe and stuff. It's just like you have all these people who lived away from home since they're like 15, but when we come back home, it's like the parents are still like really involved. And for you, what is always been your recommendation to athletes that have played for your programs in terms of like the next step after, for those who are interested in it? Like, what are some things? Because to be honest, I hear a lot of stuff coming from players and who just don't know a lot about kind of the next step about going and playing pro, or like what that next step is. Like in general, like what do you kind of recommend to those people? Because we get a lot of people to ask us about that as well.
I think the pro volleyball now, there's no better time to try to get involved if you want to play. And it's like there's a level for anybody. I feel like you can go anywhere. Yeah. So my recommendation would always be to probably get an agent or talk to alumni that have played in different areas and go for it. So
no, that's awesome. I think for, especially on the women's side, it's like no brainer for me.
And you never know. There's a player, a former athlete from Nebraska who is from a small town I never thought would play very long, and she's still playing all over the world. She's been all over the world. So you never know if you like it. And there's a player, alum from Louisville, same thing. She's played all over the world on all different levels too. It's like I said, there's really a level for everybody.
Yeah, no, it's really cool.
Super cool.
I in the U.S. there's it'll be really interesting to see how everything develops.
And for you guys, I know you just got a player from Italy.
Yep.
Which has been, I'm sure she comes
for those players. Really, for all those foreign players, is it typical for them to work with some form of agent? Or how does that usually come through?
Seems like it. Yeah. I haven't recruited too many athletes.
The agent came to you, or you guys kind of had identified?
Well, this was a little different because it was already she was on Nebraska's radar before I was the coach here.
Gotcha.
So I don't really know how it began, but we talked a lot with her and an agent.
Okay. You see a lot. This is obviously more obvious in the men's NCAA. You see a lot more international players. That's what I was kind of getting at. Do you see? It's a fine line to draw because you guys get in the top U.S. athletes. The international athletes are also. It's also different because they've been pros for a long time. Do you guys see yourself going more international, or do you see year by year?
I think it's year by year, but I do think that we'll recruit more. Now I don't know if we'll offer more international athletes, but I think we'll be recruiting overseas more. So I don't know if that makes sense. 'Cause I think you got to see what's out there. I think having international athletes just builds a little different type of a team. I think they bring a different perspective, and they obviously have a different type of experience, which is only going to help your team in the long run. So I'm for it, but again, sometimes when you look, you're like, well, there's athletes in the U.S. that have a very similar skill set that are getting overlooked. So I don't want that. Right. I don't want it to take away from opportunities.
And how many international athletes have you coached? If you were just getting market,
Oh man,
good amount.
it's like one a year. So probably I'd say 8 to 10.
Are they ever like cultural shocked when they get there? Or is it because I mean even the best of the best in the world, the facilities that are that Louisville, Nebraska, nothing like that at all. Oh, they were like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, a little bit. It is funny too. I think they're like I coach a player from Jamaica, and she's like, I could not believe how long we'd warm up in the U.S. It's like so true.
The 2 hour
We
warm for a game
literally
it's
warm
wild.
up forever.
Yeah.
So
No, I get it. It's always like we always tell we'll be overseas and we always tell stories and we're like a good team, a good budget, and we show up to these gyms sometimes and it's like as my friend Blake calls it a shoebox.
Yeah.
You're in there. I'm like never like in the rooms they put you in sometimes you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, for sure.
It's obviously when we were at a top men's school but a top women's school, it's next level. So I can only imagine, but it is still great. I want to reiterate the playing overseas is amazing. But there are culture shocks for us too when we go overseas.
Right.
Doing our own laundry, that was a big one. Like practice, like you have to go home. You don't have a dryer. You go home, you do your own laundry. We're over there. We're like, we literally never did our laundry when we were in college. Like,
I was gonna ask if there were any culture shocks for you when you went to either Louisville or Nebraska. But I know you went to school in Nebraska.
Yeah.
So were there anything when you came back where you're like, man, if I had this when I was back here, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think a little bit. Just in general, the facilities have gotten so much better, and the training table that Nebraska has where the athletes eat is like insane now. And it was good when I was a player, and it's like nothing even close to what it was then. So, and then now that's just the resources that come with like the meals, the meal money on the weekend. I mean, there's just more. Like, man, that would have been awesome to be able to get all your meals paid for, and just little things like that. That sometimes I feel like our players don't understand how good it is.
Oh yeah, I mean when you sit around them.
I think now that I'm the coach, I'd love to be able to get all my meals for free.
Yeah,
Amazing.
You're like, I mean, like you see, I mean, you just don't know how good you have until it's not there.
Right.
That's just kind of always the case.
I think the ever changing, it's like when I got to Nebraska, the facilities are already great, but it's like, hey, we're going to redo this. What do you need? I'm like, redo it. It's pretty awesome already, So it's just the advanced thinking of staying ahead of the game, I think is one thing Nebraska has always done extremely well, and they continue to do it well.
Is that also for like strength and conditioning and like?
Yeah, I think just for all sports. I'm just speaking in general for athletic department.
what's your approach on strength and conditioning, by the way? Like in terms of like building into training and like how that goes like on a year-round
Yeah,
cycle?
I feel like it's there's parts in the year that it comes number one. It's like the number one most important piece, even more important than the training volleyball aspect. So I think the summer is really important, and the spring, there's times where it's super important. So we always take the approach like, there's some classes and some things that you have to work around in the spring, but it's like you have to get your strength training in, and then if you have to miss a volleyball piece for class or something, that's okay. But that comes first.
And then was the strength and conditioning coach here by the time you got here?
Yeah.
Same one they've been having?
Since I was an assistant, not since I was a player. Yeah.
Could you have brought over anybody you wanted? Like
I mean, I don't know. I would have had to convince somebody to leave Louisville, which wouldn't have been super easy. But I think there's so many great people in Nebraska already. So could have if I would have asked the AD, probably. But that doesn't mean that would be the best thing for the program.
Yeah.
And the best thing for Louisville, like part of the pride of being the coach there for 8 years and, having an amazing program and run is like you want to leave that better than you found it.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty proud. I want them to continue to have a lot of success.
Yeah. I mean, that would be pretty wild if it's Louisville, Nebraska in the finals there. You're like, man, you want the best for them and you've been there at the same time. I mean,
well, what's crazy is when John Cook left Wisconsin, his first year, it was Nebraska, Wisconsin in the finals.
It's just, You know,
Wouldn't that be crazy?
They usually
repeat?
Yeah.
there's a higher being enforced there. I mean,
Yeah.
where it's gonna there's a possibility. Where are the national championships this
In
summer?
Kansas City.
Kansas City. So you guys are decently close to that.
Yeah.
That's not bad. And where's it held? Usually at the convention center there.
Yeah.
At
It
the
would just
big
be,
arena.
It would be all red there if
Yeah.
yeah.
So let me ask you this: John Cook did 92,000 fans.
Yeah.
How are you gonna up that?
I don't know if I can. We have to like have a creative. It might not be as many fans, maybe something more creative. I don't know what that could
Is that
possibly
like in
be
the
though.
back- like so, when it comes to Nebraska, you guys are first and news for everything. You guys are raising the bar. Are you thinking about like stuff like every other year? Are you thinking about okay, how can we raise the bar this year? What can we do?
I don't think that's something that's done every other year. I feel like that's a once in a while type thing. So I'm more thinking like let's hang some more championships on the wall, and create a little dynasty because Nebraska's never won back to back.
Last time they won was what 2021, 2020,
No, 2017, right?
2017 with who was it on the outside? It was
Becky.
Fecky.
Oh,
Yeah,
animal.
she was awesome.
Wow.
But yeah, so back to back, and would be pretty awesome. It hasn't been done here before.
Now, obviously, John Cook ran a great program, different coaches, different philosophies. How do you think your coaching style can help get Nebraska over the hump of like, national championship?
Well, I guess I would say it's a lot of the intangibles more than the skills training because what I've been taught, what I continue to do is a lot of what John did. Like I said, there might be a little bit faster paced or a little more 6-on-6, but the basics are very similar. And so our players are like, the drills are maybe named something different or scored differently, but it's the same concepts. But I would say really focusing on a player-led team, and my style is a little bit, I don't want to call it laid back because I don't think any of my players could say that, but if you came in our gym from day to day, you might not be able to tell who the head coach is. One day you might, but the next day you might not. And I've already been talking with the team just about getting them to be a little more player-led. Like I don't have a lot of consequences or team rules, because if you want to be great, I don't need to punish you for things. You should be doing it the right way. And so getting them to really be player-led and understanding what that means hopefully will translate to winning in the big points and when things get tough.
Yeah, everybody, we spoke with Becca and then Owen Wickens. We were close with them. We were just with them actually, and they speak very highly of you. And they say she's so relaxed. I was not expecting how relaxed she was going to be. In a good way. Obviously, I'm sure you can crack the whip when you need to.
Yeah, well, that's funny because I do think they've only seen me, in the spring and beach.
This is when it's calm. This is when everything, not a lot of pressure.
Right.
Lose a bad game and then
Yeah.
you might see.
Yeah, but I do think compared to John, I'm definitely much more relaxed.
Right. Is that something that just comes natural or?
I probably a little bit, and I just think a lot of learning how I coach best, and really how I played my best is when a coach is really consistent. And so I find it much easier to be consistently relaxed versus consistently over the top on it.
On edge.
Yeah, on edge. And I do think, when you're moving a lot and changing your life a lot and having kids, it's just like, this is just a game. Right. Of course, in Nebraska, it means a lot. I'm not naive to that, but it's not a life or death situation here, so.
That's a great way to think about it because a lot of time it's easy to, and unfortunately we've been around maybe a few coaches who've done this where they bring stuff off the court or stretches off the court, they bring it on. And then you're
European
I'm like, well, like they're clearly something's going on.
Yeah.
Because like just from the get go, just boom, like that, and you're like, all right, like if that's how you set the tone normally, great.
Yeah.
But this
right.
it
It's
does
so
not work.
difficult. And I also think one thing for coaches is great coaches are really vulnerable, and I learned that early in my head coaching career. And I'll never forget, we were playing against Florida. I think it was my second year at Louisville, and I think Florida was top 5, and we were in the game. You know, we were fringe top 25, and looking back, I was like, I can't believe I didn't call a timeout. You know, I like really messed up game 2 or 3, and just telling the team that after the match, like, guys, I really screwed that set up. I think that team at the time was shocked that I was admitting that, but being really vulnerable with your team creates a lot of trust, and then I think it takes away some fear of failure when they know that your coach is admitting when they fail.
Are there any other points that keep you up at night? Like, is there anything specific you're like, whoa, why didn't I do this or why didn't I do that?
That one just sticks out for some reason because I think it was so early, and it was like would have been a statement win for us, and we were like there. Man, our match in 2021 against Wisconsin, you can go that whole match. We were so close, and that was the semifinals, and it was really fun match, and we lost in 5. So I think that match, but I still, you know, this past year losing to Penn State, but you know, without DeBeer, it's like I can't bring myself to watch that game. It's just like sad. It was like amazing, but also sad that a player of her caliber and character didn't get to play in that match.
I mean, losing a national championship semis is one thing.
Yeah.
But having like your best player out and you know it
Yeah.
is like, that's gotta, I mean, what can you do?
Yeah, you can't do anything. You know, you just, like I said, you feel sad for her because that was a big reason why she came back for a COVID year and to get to the Final Four in Louisville and then to actually make it past the semis, you know, then she didn't get to play in it. But I don't know if I'll ever watch that game. I'll watch bits and pieces. But John Cook was like, you should really watch it. They say some good things, you know, and he's like, at least watch the pregame. Like, I don't think I can.
He told you to watch it? Oh, just to listen what they say about you, the
Or
commentators?
just the, you know, 2 women in the
yeah.
finals.
Oh, okay.
And he said it was like a great show, or, you know, they had a lot of great things. So
I lost one national championship. Never even tried
yeah,
to watch it.
it's
You
so
can't.
difficult.
Yeah.
But there are sometimes you can't stop watching it. That's how I was in that Wisconsin game.
Yeah.
It's like the second I got back to the hotel, I was watching it.
For me, it's if I like middle of the year, it's a lot easier to watch it because it's okay. We're gonna see this team again. Like But season-ending losses are like okay. We're obviously, especially if like now if I'm leaving the league or something, like I don't even want to watch that.
For sure.
No, I understand that.
And how was your process coming into Nebraska? Was it like pretty seamless, or was it like, because, I mean, did the girls know that John was going to leave before he like kind of bring him in, or was it, do you have any idea of that?
No, they didn't know.
Did you know?
I think it was the way the athletic department did it, I think with Louisville also, so there was nothing got out in social media. It's like everything came from the ADs and the coaches, I think made it really seamless, and, you know, it hopefully set a precedent of how coaching hires can be done in the future if you're organized and have a plan. So.
And then so they announced John Cook tells the team, I'm leaving, and then Coach Danny comes in. Was it awkward ever, or was it something where you're like, hey, I'm here, guys. I know we just hey guys, I'm here. Like, how was that? Like when you first go in a room like that?
It wasn't awkward at all. It was more, I mean, because John told him he was leaving, and then there was like a brief moment, and then he told him I was going to be the next coach. So they knew quickly. But I like tried to FaceTime them all as soon as I knew everybody in Nebraska and Louisville knew what was happening. And, you know, I didn't really recruit any of the players that are on the current team at Nebraska. That cycle is done, but I knew a lot of them, and I think they knew me just being an alum. So.
And did any decommit from Nebraska, if you don't mind me asking?
No.
And they shouldn't.
Yeah.
How was that conversation with Louisville?
You know, it was super sad, of course, you know, but it was also the same type of situation, you know, because I was like, well, and the next coach is going to be Dan, you know, and so they were like pumped about that. So it kind of goes both ways. It's a quick sadness, but also, you know, I think they were really happy for the opportunities for myself and for Dan.
And I'm guessing that Louisville's not. I mean, obviously, you didn't have any say in this, but is Louisville on the schedule in the preseason at all, or
Not
no?
this year. Yeah.
Next year, are you gonna make it so that you're?
I don't know. We don't have it on the schedule anytime soon, but
Do you guys got Pitt?
yeah, we have Pitt and
Ooh,
Stanford.
Coach
Yeah.
Coach Kellen and Dan,
Yeah.
Kalani, all those we're tight with their crew there. That's-
Yeah. We play them in that AVCA
let's
first
go.
first serve.
Is that at a location? Is
It's
it?
here
Oh,
at the
sick.
basketball arena.
Oh, how many does a basketball arena host?
About 16,000.
All right, so you're about 80,000 short.
Yeah.
If you.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
No, but that's awesome. And then I'm guessing you guys sell that out, right?
Yeah, I think it'll be sold out. So because it's AVCA, it's not a Nebraska event. I don't really know the updates on the ticket sales, but I'm assuming it's always sold out.
How many people ask you for tickets usually?
Not
Is that put in your contract? You're like, I need this many tickets per game.
No, I mean I didn't get that many because the season tickets here are sold out, and they only allocate so
Yeah.
many. But
It's Jay Ray. I think he's told me that. I don't know how many times. Like, yeah, people die on our waiting list. He always says that. Like, I get it. A lot of people want to come.
So
That's
stop
awesome.
bugging the coaches if you're out there. Stop bugging Coach Danny. Or give her some privacy.
It's
Yeah.
the players get asked a lot, but the coaches get asked like by everybody. I feel like I always
not
hear
too much. I feel like a lot of people are like scared to ask her.
That's
yeah.
good.
Or they're like, I don't want to bug her.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's good. It's better that way.
And then so you guys, I know you guys. I mean, since you guys, this is the last question, then we'll
No,
let
you're
you head
good.
out here. Hawaii. Obviously, we just talked about that for beach volleyball. Do you guys ever see yourself playing in the Stan Sheriff Center?
Oh, I would love to.
It's tough. It's obviously you realize it's different because you know to get you in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Maybe you go 2-3 days early,
Yeah.
and then there maybe you got in the sun maybe too long, and then
Yeah.
you got to go play, and then
Yeah.
in front of 10,300
Yeah.
fans, and they're
No.
gonna be on their A game.
I got to play there as a player in the spring, and it was like sold out, and
Yeah.
it was great. I've actually never played there in the fall as a player or a coach. So
I think who just played there? One of the top teams, Wisconsin.
I think went out there.
They
But
went
it
for
was
spring.
preseason, yeah. So that's obviously very, very different.
Yeah, very different than an actual game. But now it is tough. There's a lot of really cool tournaments and events, and kind of like they're modeling a lot after the basketball, men's and women's basketball, with events in Cayman Islands or Puerto Rico, and they haven't actually had those yet, but there's lots of talks about them. So I think those would be really cool to. That might take away from teams wanting to go out to Hawaii in the preseason.
Good point.
That would be interesting for
yeah.
Nebraska.
I mean, you guys are always gonna get the call too.
Yeah, doing like a rivalry game, maybe. I don't even know what the market would be for like college teams coming out to like Europe for.
Yeah,
a
that
game.
would. Yeah, I don't know what the market would be
It'd be interesting to hear
because
see.
they're European teams
Yeah.
are so good.
I bet you get a lot of Nebraska fans, obviously, that would
Yeah.
travel out and go, starting to get into that because it.
Well, like
obviously it's-
Nebraska played in Ireland last year, I think, for football,
Yeah,
or 2 years ago.
yeah.
That is true.
No.
I mean, would you guys ever? When you guys, how are you gonna decide like what events to go to? Also, like when you have all these options, like how would you decide it?
It's tough. It's a lot. Like, do we have players that are from there or close to there? That's always a factor. Money is always a factor, of course, and then, I think timing of, we won't have a lot of home games because we sell it out, and we can get great teams to play here. So the priority is to have a lot of home games, but I think it's great to give our players a fun experience. So, and we're talking about playing potentially in Vegas, and doing some cool stuff. So I think it just depends on the year and the makeup of the team.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, Big Ten. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here. Louisville ACC, right?
Yeah.
I heard that. I mean, you guys are more central, but I heard like West Coast, East Coast teams were moving.
Brutal.
Brutal. It's the same. I mean, Nebraska's more Midwest, obviously. Is the travel any worse or any better? Or is it the same? Like
About the same.
Okay. So obviously, I was going to ask if that was something that you kind of keep in mind, but obviously playing home, especially in the Bob, is pretty elite.
Yes, for sure.
You got that many fans screaming and everything for you. Do you have any more questions? Or we let her go here?
No, I mean I could go on forever, but no, it was good. No, I appreciate your time and chatting with us for a little bit. I'm excited to see the team this year. Enjoyed getting to work like the past couple summers. A couple of the girls have come out and helped out with camps. It's, always a good group of girls.
They're awesome.
Yeah.
Really, really impressive group
Yeah.
of players and humans. And
Yeah.
they're good people.
Just remember, if you can't handle the heat, you got to get in. That's been another episode presented by Out of System.